What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a special one for you today. It does get really good. It does create a lot of excitement. And this is actually happening. What we're going to be talking about is the fact that Chris Jones is expected to be playing some defensive end this year. Ladies and gentlemen, that creates matchup problems. And what really helps and assure that this is going to be a good move. We'll talk about that because of a signing we did in the offseason. But I do think that this is going to create some mixed match, provide some issues to some tackles. I'm just excited to even hear that this is an option. I do think he will rotate back into D-tackle at times, but I do think we will see Chris Jones playing the defensive end position, and I'm excited to talk about it. Most definitely. I'm going to provide you guys some tweets and really provide you an article that solidifies this argument. So if you're interested in talking about Chris Jones playing defensive end, I suggest you stay tuned right after this. But before we dive in and start talking about Chris Jones playing defensive end, I ask that you guys smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, comment down below, and now it's time to get to the video. Let's go! You know, in all honesty, going into this video, I had to recap and look back. And honestly, there was a lot of people that said that they feel that we still needed to add to the defensive end position. I've seen a lot of people say Justin Houston. I've seen a lot of people say Melvin Ingram. I mean, that's been a consistent thing. People also like the name, I think. But honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I think when you talk about kicking Chris Jones to the outside at a defensive end position, that is a massive disruption to tackles. That is a massive mix match for some opponents. And I really think that Chris Jones could honestly do very well at the D-end position. But I don't think that this is a full-time position move for Chris Jones. So ideally what we're looking at is if Chris Jones kicks out to the D-end position, what that does is that plugs in Derek Nottie and our recently signed defensive tackle in Jarran Reed coming over from the Seattle Seahawks. Now Jarran Reed is very, very good at the D-tackle position, tends to get sacks, has had a career year lined up next to Frank Clark, and we know Frank Clark needs some help. Obviously he has been struggling after signing that massive contract, so it'll be nice to at least see Jarran Reed paired next to him when Frank Clark had his career year. But I do think that really spreads out that defensive line. I think that can obviously provide a completely different look than what we've been used to, because Chris Jones, ladies and gentlemen, he eats from the D-tackle position. He's the number 2 best D-tackle in the NFL, behind probably one of the greatest players of all time in Aaron Donald. So Chris Jones definitely eats from the D-tackle position, but what it also creates from the outside is just a monster. I think it really does, and we're going to talk about it right now. Jay Glazer, Chiefs are planning to use D-tackle Chris Jones as an edge rusher at times this season. That's going to be a legitimate problem for tackles. I most 100% agree with that. Then we move over to Aaron Ladd. Aaron Ladd says Chiefs. Frank Clark says Chris Jones at edge opens up the game more. I mean, it really does. I think it just creates a different look, and I really think that I'm most definitely excited to see this and how it plays out. Obviously, you're going to probably see it happen a little bit in training camp. You're definitely going to see it probably bleed into the preseason, and hopefully as it continues to progress and do very well, you'll see it into the season. Because I do think with that front of talking about Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Jarran Reed, and Frank Clark, I think that's pretty lethal in its own, and I think that provides some pressure. Hopefully, again, that alleviates and helps provide less double teams in some aspects for Frank Clark, and maybe he gets that one-on-one matchup, and we start to see the sacks that a $100 million defensive end should be getting. So that obviously is what we're looking at from this. So this article that we're going to break down on Chris Jones playing defensive end was written through Fansided and is by John Bueller. So we're going to dive right into this, and we're going to dissect it and provide our own thoughts from this article. So defensive tackle Chris Jones may see some time at defensive end for the Kansas City Chiefs. After flourishing in the trenches at defensive tackle, the Kansas City Chiefs are exploring the possibility of playing Chris Jones at the defensive end. Jones is one of the most dominant interior defensive linemen in the NFL today. He is 7th in the league in sacks in the last 3 seasons with 32. Ladies and gentlemen, let that just sink in. Let that just kind of settle in. He is a D tackle, ladies and gentlemen, and he has had 32 sacks in the last 3 seasons. That's 7th in the league. That's absolutely incredible. All but one of them coming from his natural position of D tackle. Here is what his defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, said about potentially moving Jones around along the defensive line for the Chiefs this upcoming season. He is an imposing player inside, said Spagnuolo. We all know that. Hopefully we will gain something on the edge. When somebody changes a position, obviously the first part of it is the mental part. And that makes sense. Chris is working through that. That's important when you change the position. It's just not that easy to pick up a whole new spot. There are some different things with the defensive end. Jones has a rare combination of speed, power, and leverage to start anywhere on the defense. And I could not agree more with those aspects. I think those are very key features, and that immediately makes me think of Chris Jones. Kansas City Chiefs, why Chris Jones is moving to defensive end this season. This move is all about creating potential matchup advantages. The Chiefs know they can generate pressure inside with Jones all day, every day. However, if he can make a few plays further outside on the edge, then this gives Spagnuolo another tool in his toolbox to have some fun in his defensive scheme. Given that Spagnuolo is adept to generating a pass rush, Jones should flourish. Overall, Kansas City should be one of the very best teams in football again. The Chiefs are presumptive favorite to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl in '56 in Los Angeles. While Kansas City is right in its competitive sweet spot with Patrick Mahomes, just entering his prime at quarterback, having balance on both sides of the ball remains crucial. Jones' versatility will certainly help there. I could not agree more with that. And that wraps up this article. I think it was a very well-written article, and I think that's definitely something that is going to be evaluated going into the season. Is Chris Jones really going to make a massive, massive impact at the end? And if so, is that something that they're going to continue to think about him staying in that spot moving forward? It's very, very interesting. I mean, we see how literally disruptive he is from a D tackle. I mean, I just gave you stats provided by this article. It's absolutely incredible. I just think Chris Jones is a monster. And you know what we also have to remember too is that, we run a base 4-3 defense. You have 4 defensive down linemen, and then you have your 3 linebackers. Now, a lot of NFL defenses don't necessarily run a base defense anymore. Most of the time now, your base package is going to be a nickel package, where you take a linebacker off the defense and you're plugging in that nickel position, whether that is a cornerback or a safety. A lot of the time, that's going to be another cornerback. So you're without an extra linebacker, which then ideally reduces you down to 2 linebackers, and then you have the rest DBs and your front D linemen. So it'll be interesting to see how Spagnuolo really works and schemes off of the nickel package, with it being the base package basically now. We've seen corners come up flying off the edge. We've seen the Honey Badger come flying off the edge. And then obviously you do have a pretty solid linebacking core, I believe now. When you go out and draft Nick Bolton, you still have Anthony Hitchens. You can plug a lot in there. Willie Gay's coming back from an injury, and it seemed to be pretty good in coverage. So I think by moving Chris Jones to the D end, you really are opening up a huge door, and it's just going to be an exciting time. I really do enjoy watching defense. I think when defenses are good, that's what makes football fun. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this adapts and how this progresses forward. I appreciate you swinging by and checking out this video on Chris Jones kicking out to the D end position. Super excited. I really am excited to see it, like I stated in this entire video. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Chris Jones is going to be able to apply some crazy mad pressure coming off the D end position? Or would you rather just see him stick at the D tackle position and remain just literally feasting on quarterbacks from the D tackle spot? I mean, guys, I laid the stats out there for you from this article. Literally third. It's just absolutely incredible. 32 sacks. I mean, that's in crazy over 3 seasons. I mean, that's just incredible. So I just want to provide this video. I really wanted to get it out there. I would love to hear your guys' comments. I appreciate you swinging by the beat of KC, and as always, have a good day.